So you work for a cemetery, but you can't say the company name.
Correct.
But it is a local cemetery.
It is a local cemetery.
In Chicagoland area. Okay.
Yes.
And I met you because I met you and your boyfriend at Chasers
Because
drinking.
you guys have a mutual friend.
Right. We were drinking alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
And we started talking, and you told me a funny story about, where you work. But I don't meet people that work at cemeteries. Isn't it kind of a unique job a little bit?
I'd like to think so, yeah.
I mean, how did you find it or get into it?
So I've always been interested in death from a young age, and then growing up, I really got into the actual science, like mortuary science itself. So
Get out of
slowly but surely, I'm like taking classes to become a mortician. So just to kind of get my foot in the door, it's like, okay, well, let me find a job either in a funeral home or a cemetery. And before I was even able to do that, I was working at a rehab facility / nursing home. So everybody was like, why are you even working there? Like, it's a complete opposite of what you're doing. So I'd always kind of joke about, I get to see them before I get to see them again kind of thing. But
Oh my God. So your name,
which sucks because I've actually ran into families that I used to take care of at the nursing home.
at the nursing home? Yeah.
At the cemetery.
Well, the nursing home is I had you on because we're going to talk about death, and it's Halloween, so it was like perfect timing.
Yeah,
and it's starting to get darker at night.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about scary things and all that stuff,
Cool.
which I like. I'm kind of irreverent a little bit when it comes to death. I hope I don't, death to me is like, it's kind of like this absurdity, like, and it's this equalizer. Like, we all will eventually die, but nobody likes to talk about it.
I do, oddly enough. But yeah, no, you're right though.
So, it makes people uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Because you're immediately, confronted with your mortality.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
And that was the whole reason I think human beings in the beginning, people would die. Think about it when before, all this advancement and in little groups, little tribal groups, they had to figure out how to honor this person. And, now we put people in these caskets.
Yeah.
Right. And so the whole tradition about it is very interesting to me. But you said you're starting to be so being around dead people doesn't bother you.
No, not at all.
Really?
No.
How did you know this? Like, how did you? How do you?
So
know?
again, like as I was little, I never really went to too many funerals, especially like open casket wakes. But when I did, I kind of noticed, like my peers, I guess you could say, the other little kids, they were like, "Hell no, I won't go," kind of thing. And I was like, "Oh, let me see what did they do?" And then just like whenever my parents would try to talk about it amongst themselves, I would always like want to jump into the conversation. I'm super into, even though in real life I can see death and see all the blood, guts, and all that stuff, but in movies, it's hard for me to watch it somehow. So, but I love horror movies. I love all things morbid.
Really?
I'm part of like maybe 5 really morbid groups on Facebook.
What is it called?
One is called like Morbid Curiosities. Another one is like for funeral directors and morticians, so people in my industry. Another one is like crime scenes and all that jazz. So.
Oh, crime scenes.
Yeah, so basically it's people sharing really gory photos of crime scenes or just like really scary stories and stuff like that.
Shit.
Yeah.
That sounds fun, kind of.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
They're really I mean, you definitely have to have a stomach because you see some pretty messed up stuff. But,
you know what? I can kind of, I guess, I don't know, that everyone has their things of what, grosses them out and makes them weird, but if I have some distance from, you know what I don't like? I've talked about this with Andy. I don't like seeing people murdered.
No.
Yeah, like that freaks me out. But Andy's watched that stuff before he went to bed. Like some.
Yeah. What was that website called? Like gore.com or something? Oh my God, don't go to it. But
yeah. Like so that shit like freaks me out when it's like a real live murder and like there's kind of like that apathetic.
Yeah.
attitudes towards someone's life and stuff, I think that's very scary to me. That's probably the only thing that scares me. But as far as like, I guess seeing crime photos would be creepy. But like they show that on Dateline a little bit, but not to the.
No.
Not to.
If you want to see the real photos, go to
really?
those websites. Yeah.
On Facebook, huh?
Yeah.
Oh wow. And interesting. And you know what? A lot of girls like horror movies. Like when I was, some girls that I've dated in the past, they always wanted, I'd say, let's go see a movie. They want to see horror movies, like Candyman or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's stupid. I mean, to me, I don't like it's hard to scare me with a movie. I don't know. Did you see Us?
No.
You didn't?
I didn't.
Oh, you got to see that. That's pretty cool. There was some scary
It's hard for me to like
part.
get into the newer movies.
Really?
Yeah, I'm more of like I like the classic old school, older kind of films first before I really like go out and see the newer ones first.
Okay, got you.
Just because it's like, I don't know, it's a lot of the same stuff over and over again. So yeah, it does make it a little bit harder to like really enjoy the movie or to actually get scared.
Yeah.
So
I think it's challenging is what I'm saying in that medium to kind of scare somebody, at least me. I mean, I think when you're younger, it's funner, right? It's more fun.
Definitely.
Because you can kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit, right? As I got older, I found that I don't believe in ghosts that much. Because one guy put it, there's this famous like philosopher thinker, and he said, look, if there were ghosts, first of all, why would things only happen at night?
They don't happen at night only. Are you kidding me?
Well, then
my
why
God.
isn't like stuff moving around right now, or why doesn't this chair why when I'm at home doesn't a chair just move? I mean, I don't know. Like, there's no evidence.
I feel like a lot of people, because of the movies, a lot of people associate like ghosts and spirits with like the super, super obvious presence. So, like you seeing your breath in the middle of summer, or, things moving around or things going bump at night. It's for me, I feel like it's also that, but it's a lot more than that. So like what I was saying earlier, for me, like ever since I was little, I've always had this feeling of, like, when somebody's trying to scare you and you're in a room by yourself and you just like feel like somebody's in the room with you, a lot of the times like I'll get that and I'll literally be at home by myself. So, and I'm right there by the front door, so I know that I'm by myself. It's not fear, because honestly, like I'm not afraid of any of that. So clearly I'm not afraid of any of that stuff. It's just, it's weird.
I used to run upstairs. Do all kids I think run upstairs when they turn the lights off downstairs?
Oh
it's
yeah,
time to go
the
upstairs.
basement is so forever the scariest place in any house. That and the attic.
Right.
Everything else is game, but the basement and the attic.
Yeah. So when we go upstairs to bed, because that always freaked me out when I was younger.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the cemetery, have you experienced any creepy things?
Yes. I would say the most, like the scariest experience that's stuck with me till now was, so whoever gets to the cemetery, especially at the office in the morning, the first one there has to unlock everything, especially the office, but then also the mausoleum. So one particular morning, and it was a Sunday, so I'm by myself, which makes it that much better, right? So I go to the mausoleum and I'm unlocking the doors, and I usually, stupid, I know, but good morning, guys, kind of thing. And
the mausoleum, explain what it is. It's like,
so the mausoleum is basically the building on cemetery grounds where if you're not being buried in the ground, you're
above ground, right?
It's above ground, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you unlock that for visitors.
Exactly.
And you say hi to the guys. And
I do.
What
Yep. I say hi to everybody. And as I'm walking around, I start hearing this pounding coming from one of the crypts. So the crypt is like the actual space. So I'm hearing this pounding coming from a crypt in the general area where we just had a burial like the day before. So I'm like, no. I'm thinking it's like the heat that just kicked on or something. But I walked closer and closer, and the knocking became louder and louder and louder. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, I know how we seal the crypt itself. So I was like, oh my God, like even if, let's just say, this person is like still alive trying to get out, like I can't even help them because I can't operate the machinery to get all the way up there.
You thought that far ahead.
I really did. So then...
Because you thought it sounded like someone was in there.
Yeah, it was literally like a... against the crypt, like the crypt front itself.
Oh my God.
So I'm like crying because, it's like a surreal experience. And there's just like...
How long did it last for?
The whole experience probably lasted maybe like 3 minutes, but it was like the longest 3 minutes of my life, honestly.
And you started crying?
I did, because stupidly, I got emotional because I'm like, what if this person, like, whether it's the physical being or even just like the spirit itself that's like trapped for whatever reason, like they're clearly reaching out, trying to get help, and I want to help them, and I can't help them. So after it all, I was like, I'm so sorry. And then I ran out.
And that was it?
Yeah, that was it.
But you never... Wait.
The end.
So, no, that is scary.
Yeah.
Because you were clear-headed. Mm-hmm. It was the morning.
Yep.
And you heard loud sounds.
Yeah.
And you never got an explanation for it? It never happened again?
Never happened again. No.
Didn't you call someone and check or something? Or what happened?
Oh, I called my boyfriend like right after. I was like, babe, you won't believe it. I tried to help. I wanted to help. And he's like, what do you mean help? Like,
okay, but
listen
did
to
you
yourself.
figure out which unit it was coming from? Like which crypt?
So it's like a regular building. So they have hallways and stuff like that. So I got as far as like to the edge of the hallway that the noise was coming from, but I didn't go so far as to like walk down the hallway and figure out like which one it was coming from. I didn't
Okay,
go
is there
that far.
plumbing in there? Is there heating in there?
There is heating and there is plumbing, but those noises, I've heard them time and time again, and completely different, because it was like a consistent...
Wait, you've heard them again?
I've heard like the noises of the heating and the plumbing going on and off, or like getting stuck and stuff like that. So that was...
Oh, it was
and at that
something
point,
different.
I had been working there for a good year, so I knew all the...
Maybe
all the
someone was
noises.
buried alive and like they weren't ready.
Oh
God, that's a nightmare. That's the biggest nightmare.
Funny you say that, though. That's actually where wakes came to be, was because people were passing away. So yeah, it's kind of like they're displaying you in back then, like on the living room table or in the dining room table for everybody to say their goodbyes, but then to also kind of like give you time to like, hey, you still there?
Give them a poke.
Yeah, exactly. Give them time to wake up,
God.
I guess.
Wow.
Wait, so those things are called wakes to see if you're awake?
I mean,
Maybe.
it's essentially, yeah, that's kind of the ghost story behind those. So
Wow. Mm-hmm. And see, I don't know about that. To me, see, I'm always going to go the science route and see. There's got to be maybe some kind of explanation. I don't know. I'm evidence. I need evidence.
Okay.
I'm a skeptic.
okay.
So, they've done experience in the brain using probes where they can elicit different feelings.
Sure, definitely.
So there is a fear part of our brain that elicits kind of a fearful response. And that's all, related to survival.
Yeah.
Right? We all want to survive. So if we touch something hot or dangerous, we
Jump back,
Yeah,
yeah.
we jump back. So I think the same is kind of in a lot of different things. So what do you think happens when we die?
Honest to God answer.
Deep question.
I have no freaking clue.
Nobody does. I'd love
I'm
to tell you that
very-
nobody does.
I'm very 50-50 in all honesty. So I
50-50
believe that
what?
there's some type of a beyond or some type of an afterlife, but as to like, we're all just living in one happy family kind of thing, or whether it's just like there is a heaven or a hell or a purgatory. As far as like the specifics of that afterlife, I'm not quite sure, but
What's the other 50?
that we're just living life, and once you die, you're done for good.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think about that.
Sometimes I'd like to believe that you are just like done for good afterwards, because then it's like you have, I don't know.
Peace.
Yeah, because you're not like forcing yourself to be somebody that you're not just to please some other being that's potentially not there, and it's like you kind of wasted your life. Not wasted your life, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
lived your life differently. So
Well, yeah. There's a positive and negative to both approaches, I think.
yeah,
So if you think life extends past, our physical death here, then you could say, well, then you're not going to live your life to the most here, right?
Yeah.
And then the opposite is also true. If you think that our minds just shut off, like you said, there's nothing, we just die, then you can enjoy life more.
Yeah.
If people believe that, right?
Or if anything, it kind of
be
as
better.
bad as your life is here, it's like you kind of have some hope that,
Yeah,
whatever,
that
there's
hope,
something
right, yeah.
the light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing.
So yeah, I don't know. That just, it always freaks me out. It interests me so much. You know what I mean?
I can say though, like while death in general never scared me, when I was younger, like my own personal death used to scare the living crap out of me. Like I used to
you went
like
through,
have
like, a
anxiety attacks of
Yeah.
like, I would literally kind of just like think of all the ways that I would die. And just
When you
like
were younger?
and freak out about it. Like, okay, am I going to stop breathing? Or, I would stop myself from playing or getting too rough because it's like, oh my God, let it be me that I hit my head and then I'm going to go into a coma and then I'm going to die or I'm going to bleed. Yeah, it was like...
You kind of got obsessed about it a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens with kids when they figure it out.
Yeah,
they freak
too
out.
soon, and it just kind of ruins your childhood just a little bit.
Their
maybe.
parents, like, are you guys gonna die? They figure it out. I don't know what age it is, but maybe like 5, 6, something like that, 7.
Right. Yeah,
they figure out that their parents can die. And that really scares a lot of kids, and they'll, kids need that comfort. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of the things we do regarding death is kind of for us, the living. It's not really for the dead person.
It's completely for, yeah.
I mean,
you'd be surprised
they're
how
dead.
many times, like, I'll be meeting with families and they'll be like, certain family members will want like the best of the best for everything, and then the other family members are like, what the hell are you spending all that money for? Like, I don't give a fuck about it. It's like, they're dead. I don't care about that. I just want them to like go respectfully, and that's it.
Yeah.
You can do that without.
And
yeah.
I also think they're too morose a lot of times, too like funerals and stuff. That, I mean, if it's a young person, of course, it's a tragedy for sure.
Yeah.
But if it's an older person, I think
they've lived their life.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's like part of life,
sure.
and you should just celebrate. Think about fun things they did, or ways that they were good to you, and
I completely agree.
That's what it should be, like a celebration.
But unfortunately, death definitely brings out the worst in families, which sucks. But I think it brings out the worst in families more than it does like bring them to. It brings them together, but at the same time, it just like brings up old feuds, or it just causes like, no, I want this.
What
and
about
that.
the money grab?
Exactly.
The money grab
God,
is big.
yes, it's huge.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen it a lot?
Definitely.
So you have to deal kind of like with the psychology of people too, surrounding death.
Yeah.
And that must be hard as well.
Yeah,
definitely. It's kind of stressful. It's something they kind of don't want to deal with, right? But they kind of have to deal with.
Exactly. So that's why, I mean, the death industry in general, it's not for everybody, but especially like on the sales aspect of it, you kind of have it or you don't, because it is a very one-on-one kind of job. So you have to be able to tread lightly given the situation, but then also feel the family out very quickly, so that way you can kind of help them through it the way that they're already dealing with it. So, if you see that they're kind of making jokes or, not taking it as seriously, then act accordingly. And that definitely helps them. Or, if they're taking it really hard, then, still try to make the situation a bit more lighthearted and better for them. But also, you don't really have the room to make the jokes. So you kind of have to be a chameleon and know how to, blend yourself in with the family.
Yeah.
And it makes a very big difference. Like, I've had families come back, months, years later, and been like, oh my God, thank you so much. You till now we're still talking about you, or stuff like that. Like, you really helped.
It's kind of like, it's
very rewarding.
You're a communicator. I'm talking about now, like being in a funeral home, right? What is that called? A mortician?
Yeah, so the people that work specifically in a funeral home, you have your funeral directors, and then you have your embalmers, or some people are kind of both.
Oh, you don't do that. Do you do embalming?
So
but you're not scared. You're not like frightened to touch them or anything, or deal with them.
No.
But you don't deal with the chemicals and stuff.
No. So what a lot of people don't know is like there's the cemetery world and then there's the funeral world. We're two completely different things. So so the funeral world really takes care of like actually handling and dealing with the bodies, whereas the cemetery, we deal strictly with the actual burial part. if that makes sense. So
Yeah. But the cemetery is kind of like a business, right? They want to make, I mean, it is a business. They charge you basically like what? They charge you, don't they? How does it work? They charge the family like a monthly fee or a yearly fee or something to keep your loved ones there?
No. So most cemeteries,
or a one-time fee?
Yeah. So when you buy your space ahead of time, because obviously, like at the time of need, like we kind of need the money to render you these services.
Right.
But in pre-arrangements, yeah. So you can finance your payments and make those monthly payments. But at the time of need, it's like, yeah, we need it like right then and there. So.
That's why a lot of people have that insurance just for like funeral expenses, right? Okay, but my question is, so they charge you that one-time fee. How does the cemetery continue to operate if they're all filled, let's say?
So
there's got to be some kind of
yeah.
fees.
So a lot of no. So a lot of it is more so just based off of like the families coming back, buying flowers, buying your 7-day candles, buying your Livani, buying your headstones even, or doing engravings. A lot of the times when family members pass, it's like they're so concentrated on laying them to rest. So, whether erecting up a monument or getting a headstone, or just if it's already there, like doing their engraving, they're just like, you know what, we'll take care of that later. We just want to concentrate on laying them to rest right now. So that's where like a lot of that business comes to play too.
So maintaining the premises.
Yeah.
But when you're full up with land, you can't keep selling plots, right?
No, not necessarily. If you have the room to, then obviously you can. It's not something that like, oh, we're almost full. So it's there's like a sign.
Like,
I know
what I'm
it's kind
saying?
of weird.
Because I'm in real estate, so I understand space.
Okay. Yeah.
You know?
So like once you buy your space, so in the state of Illinois, you can't bury 2 full bodies in one space. So technically you can bury two people in one space, but it has to be either 2 cremated people or 1 full body and 1 cremate. Sorry, I say cremains instead of ashes because we have taboo words, so I'm just kind of used to not saying dirt, saying earth.
This is interesting. I didn't know any of
ashes
it.
and cremains. So.
Yeah, cremains. Okay, I never heard that term before. Yeah, that's interesting. And okay, yeah, it just seems it's I don't know. The
it's
whole
weird.
Yeah. The whole death industry. People don't think of it as a business, but of course, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
There's different aspects, like you said. There's the funeral home business and the cemetery business.
Yeah.
And you were telling me something funny about the Greek people. And I'm Greek, God. And I'm gonna have you. Well, tell me a little bit about it. What'd you tell me when I met you?
That you are part of a special group of people.
Oh, special, huh? Like, what do you mean, like slow?
No, you guys, like, you know what you want, and like it's kind of like, I want my money, it's my money and I need it now kind of thing. That's
the attitude.
That's the attitude. It's like, I paid for it, or I want it, this is how I want it, I don't care, like they're just very, very demanding.
Oh. I thought you said they like when you see them, they don't deal with you directly. They look at the other person.
I was just about to say, unfortunately, I mean, racism is very relevant today still, but where I'm at, it's like, because it is predominantly Greek, and a lot of it is predominantly like the older Greek. So yeah, I've definitely had instances where family members will come in and, they're dealing with the engraving or the headstone. I'm the memorialist, so I'm the one that you need to talk to. I know the pricing. I know the sizes. I'm your person. And they will literally, I'll be talking to them and they don't even look at me once. Or if they look at me, they don't acknowledge that I'm talking to them. They'll look at, my other coworkers that are right behind me, and it's like,
really?
Hey, I'm over
Come
here.
on.
Yeah.
And you're communicating with them.
I'm communicating with them. I'm speaking perfectly fine.
And they'll look right past you? Mm-hmm. Wow. That's crazy.
Or even, I've had coworkers be like, well, I don't know anything.
Greeks can be
talk
a little
to her.
rude. Greeks can be a little rude sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know where we can be the nicest people, though.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's very, you're either on this end of the spectrum or the other end of the spectrum.
I know. Sometimes I think, I don't know what it is. Sometimes with services, like, we get a little demanding, I think. I don't know where that comes from or how that developed as a cultural thing, but...
I mean, you guys definitely do take your afterlife very seriously as far as laying your loved ones to rest. And you guys are very strict on coming in, lighting your candles, lighting your
Oh
Lavani.
yeah, they have like the 40-day memorial.
The 40-day memorials, making sure that the headstone is still perfectly clean 40 years later, the engraving still intact 40 years later,
Wow.
the pictures, they take it very seriously.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go and visit my old relatives that much at the, I it's been years.
Your papu and your yaya?
Yeah.
Yaya or yaya?
Yeah.
Yaya, okay.
Yeah, Papu. But, I've been there. Mm-hmm. My mom has taken us, of course.
Okay.
And then she'll take us and, tell us,
Stories.
yeah, stories maybe about someone that she knew from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because the neighborhoods were a lot closer back then.
Yeah.
The Greeks kind of stuck together.
Oh, yeah. It's still definitely like that in the cemeteries, too, for sure.
Yeah. So, it's interesting, I guess.
I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
Oh, Andy has a question. Go ahead.
So, what happens to like plots of or grave sites where people have been dead for like over 100 years and there's like no family left to visit?
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, they go unloved, I'd like to say. They're...
But is the cemetery allowed to like move them or get rid of their stuff?
I mean, no.
It's there forever.
No, yeah. Especially like you're corporately owned. It's becoming... Yeah, so yeah, they're not allowed to touch it, honestly.
Oh,
but
wow.
a majority of the corporately owned cemeteries, they're forever cemeteries. So once you're in there, that's yours. You're not going anywhere. So
The people who are cremated, cemeteries perform that service too, or funerals? Or
So some cemeteries have crematories on site, but not all of them. If you want your loved one to get cremated, you would go to a funeral home.
Oh, the funeral home does it? Mm-hmm. And do you think those people have a different view of death than people who like want to be buried and like, you know what I mean? Because I think, to be honest, me and my father has said to me, he's like, just burn me. He's like, I don't care. He's like, I'm dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my dad said the same thing.
Yeah, like I think they have more of like a realistic view than someone who's going to be like, I think it's absurd to put someone in a casket. Oh, I mean, well, like a fancy casket. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something that's just going to pollute the earth. I think personally,
Green burials are becoming really big now too.
Yeah.
So,
Did you see that pod that they could put you in and then they can bury you and it with a tree or something in the roots of a tree and then it'll grow
definitely.
around you? That's cool.
I like that idea.
We're biological.
I'm still 50-50 on whether or not I want to be buried in the not even buried in the ground, whether I want to be put in a mausoleum or if I want to be cremated. So, I don't know yet.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's not something you think about all the time. But I mean, especially your age, you want to have fun. It's funny that you're in your 20s, right? Mm-hmm. And it's funny that
That's another thing I get told a lot too. It's like, are you old enough to work here? Yes. Yes.
Because you're dealing with like a mature subject.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. But do you think those people look at death differently than the people who want like the grand burial or something? Do they have a different attitude?
I don't feel like they do. I feel like it's I
Is
feel
it
like
cheaper?
they look. It is.
To cremate someone is a lot cheaper. So they're just like, cremate them.
For the most part, yeah.
Oh, you want to hear a funny story?
Sure.
I rent apartments, you know? So it's kind of funny. It's kind of like I'm basically the steward of this prop. I kind of house the people when they're alive, and then you house them. The cemetery houses them when they're dead, right?
Yeah.
But a tenant moved, and then the next tenant came in, and she's like, I found someone's remains in the apartment. Like she found cremated remains in the apartment, and someone left them there. So I'm like, she's like, what should I do with them? I'm like, I don't fucking know what you should do with them. I mean, like, that was
legally, could you tell her who the last tenant was so that way, like, she can contact them to be like, here's your loved one, like, do something, kind of thing?
Do something? You forgot them? Oh my God, it's crazy. We all get forgotten.
Yeah.
All of us.
There's
Except like the famous people, right? They say you
but
can
even
live...
technically they get forgotten too, in my opinion. Maybe not as forgotten as like everyday people like us, but I feel like they get forgotten too.
Yeah. Yeah, and longer times pass. Oh, I heard something on the Joe Rogan show. They said you die like 3 times. Have you heard
Really?
this?
I remember hearing that. I don't remember the number, but
I
three's
can't remember
pretty.
who said it. If it was like the Indians or Mexicans or something, some kind of cultural thing. They said you die first. Your first death is when you physically die.
Okay.
The next death is when. Oh no, the first time you die is when you learn about death.
Oh,
But you realize
that.
your what's it called? Your temporariness.
Yeah.
And then the second time is when you actually die.
Okay.
And then third die is when the last time your name is uttered on this
Oh
earth.
yeah, kind of like what was that movie? Coco.
Oh, I know.
Did you what? You never saw that movie?
No, is it animated?
It is.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh, it's like the cutest little thing ever.
Yeah.
You should see it. Honestly, it's literally all about remembrance of the dead and like how it's so important to keep them alive because they're in the afterlife and they actually die if they're not remembered. So
Yeah. I mean, it is comforting to think about the afterlife. When I was a kid, my mom would always say, your relatives are looking down on you. Did your parents say stuff like that?
oh yeah, definitely. So like I told, like we're Haitian, so we are even though like majority of the cult, like the people, I feel like they don't actually practice voodoo, but because it's so like entwined into the culture, it's like you could be Catholic or you can be Protestant, but like
There's
still
elements.
Exactly. So like a lot of the what's the word?
Tradition?
It's like a lot of the traditions and a lot of like the beliefs and the superstitions. There you go.
Superstitions,
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah. So like a lot of the superstitions for sure.
Wow. See, voodoo kind of freaks me out.
It freaks everybody out.
Yeah. You know why?
It's
Because sometimes they do, like, belief is we're taught in America to respect belief, okay? And everybody has their own beliefs.
Yeah.
But some beliefs can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think like when you get into like voodoo and stuff, some beliefs first of all can impact like animals, like they can kill animals for like for their
Rituals and stuff.
horns.
Yeah.
Like to make a medicine out of their horn.
Yeah.
And then they get even they would say, "Oh, you need the blood of a dead fetus or something like that." Like that shit. Like that scares me. Like I don't think.
Well, in high school,
And
it's okay. My junior year, I did a whole like me passing junior year wrote on this paper of we got to pick kind of like where you stand on a certain very iffy subject kind of thing. So I chose to write about voodoo and how kind of like, yeah, I get how it has such a bad stigma and why people like, I was still proud to tell people that I'm Haitian, but I used to hate telling people because automatically they'd be like, "Oh my God, so you practice voodoo? Oh my God, I'm not going to fuck with you because I don't know what you're going to do to me." Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know it was that stigmatized. I didn't know.
Oh
that.
yeah, definitely. So
okay.
I wrote my paper kind of saying like, yes, while a lot of the things that most people know about it is technically true, but it's like voodoo was created in good. So kind of like almost every religion, like it's meant to be good, and then you have your people that take it to the extreme, and then the people always remember the bad. The bad always outweighs the good.
Right.
So that's
kind of sticks in your head. I was thinking more like African or even Chinese. Chinese medicine can endanger species. If there's a rumor, like shark fin soup or like I don't know, these rumors that go around where something can be a cure for people, it can endanger a species or, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of... I till now, I still cry when I see dead squirrels on the road. So, yeah, it's that, that bad.
Oh, my God, you just reminded me of something. I just killed a squirrel, like, last week.
No!
All right, listen. I'm going to explain it.
Please
Not
do.
on purpose. There was a rat living in my garage.
Okay.
And there's like a little piece of siding coming up on my garage, and the rat had made a little home inside, and I put a rat zapper to try to zap the rat.
Okay.
And I got a squirrel instead. And I saw his furry tail sticking out.
Oh, no!
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Do you feel the same way about bugs, though?
Well,
Because
that's
I
another.
honestly couldn't care less about bugs.
I know, but here's the thing about death is that we get to choose what animals are significant and what aren't,
Yeah.
right? An ant is not because it's small. And a lot of times it has to do with size.
Yeah, definitely.
So, the bigger animal is more,
Yeah, they kind of mean more, have more
yeah, or if they're more
value, right?
loving or, there's all these criteria.
Yeah. Like, I don't do spiders at all. At all, at all.
So
I don't
you
care
don't
if it's
catch them and release them outside.
No, I'm killing you on site. Like,
Okay.
well, no, I can't even, I don't have the guts to even kill the spider. Like, I have to call my boyfriend or
Well, are you a
my
meat
dad.
eater?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
I know.
someone's killing that
I
meat.
know, I
Chickens.
know.
I mean, I'm like, so my cousin is raising chickens. Like she has a farm, like a little,
Really?
yeah, she has acreage out in California with her husband and their family. And I'm like, do they have personalities? I don't know.
They do.
No way.
Yeah,
Chickens have personalities?
definitely.
Come on. How do you know this?
So the times that I'm weird. Like, I'm very much
That's
like,
okay.
I like
So
to
am I.
see personalities and like animals too. So like the few animals that I've come into contact with, my own dogs kind of thing. But also when I went to Haiti, it's like their animals are like the epitome of like non-domesticated. So just from being around them for almost a month, it's like I literally got to see like that chicken's crazy. Like, I'm not gonna mess with him. I'm not gonna try and play around with him.
Well, I
yeah,
don't know. You
that-
can't stop eating chickens. Chicken is like,
Meat's too good. I tried
Yeah.
once and it lasted maybe like a week.
yeah.
But bugs though, like I love like picking them. I'm a pyro too, so like I
You'll
love burning things.
You'll
oh
burn
gosh,
bugs?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
But why? Squirrels are cuter than rats?
I don't mind rats, honestly. Actually,
rats are-
surprisingly.
Yeah.
But I don't know if
Actually,
you
the
if
rat
you're
ran
an
away.
insect.
I didn't catch the rat, and he
Has he
and
come
went.
back?
No, he went away somewhere.
Oh, good. He probably you made an example out of the squirrel. Is what you.
You think he saw the squirrel?
Yeah,
He
probably.
could have. Yeah, maybe. He's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
This
they're
guy's
not
got
stupid. Unfortunately,
They are smart.
Yes.
I don't mind them if they leave things alone or don't.
Yeah, but they just get into literally everything trying
know.
to find food. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
They can be destructive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. So, and the rat zapper is a little more humane than the sticky pad. The sticky pad works, but then they're caught.
Yeah, and then it's like,
And
what
they're
do
like-
I do?
The zapper just zaps them quick.
Yeah. Okay. I can. I guess.
Here's another thing. I always thought,
Quick and painless.
yeah, and I always thought capital punishment,
Mm-hmm.
like killing someone, to me, that's kind of like an easy way out. Like if you kill someone, then they feel no remorse. I don't think that's like the worst punishment you can give to a human being.
I agree, but
Is
I
it?
also disagree because I feel like in the sense of like the people that are mentally unstable or they are mentally not right. It's like, okay, by putting them in jail, letting them sit there, it's like I feel like you have a better chance of it not doing its job, like letting them sit and feel that kind of remorse, like they're just gonna want out and not really think about it. So
just zap them.
yes, zap them.
Yeah. So any other good ghost stories or anything?
Okay, so this is gonna get good and gory. So basically, in the mausoleums, some kind of have better upkeep than others, but basically what you'll notice is a lot of like fruit flies or those really tiny microscopic gnats kind of thing. Those are there for two reasons. One, because people go against the rules and they put live flowers in there, so then the flowers die, and then that causes the bugs to come. But then also, it's from the bodily fluids of the people that are there that create the bugs. So that's why there's also a smell in mausoleums. If you've ever noticed a smell that's literally like
Rotting flesh.
just rotting flesh, yeah.
Wait. What do they do to prepare them before they put them in there?
Well, it
I mean, are
wasn't
they
until
wearing clothes and stuff?
I mean, yeah. So you're in a casket. It wasn't up until
Yeah,
recently that they kind of started enforcing the embalming rule. So like if you are going in a mausoleum, they kind of force it almost make you embalm your loved one to kind of help. Embalming is to delay the decaying process. So yeah. So by not embalming back, it's basically like the older people that are in there. So what do they
do if it starts smelling real bad or something? Do they?
You kind of can't really do too much. You just have to put a lot of smell goods in the air. Unfortunately, some of them start to leak. So if you're ever in a mausoleum and you see like some stuff dripping along the walls, that's
decay.
That's bodily fluids.
I don't see how you could put like a biological thing. You know what I mean? That has.
Yeah. Nowadays there's
the best place to put it would be on the earth.
Yeah.
Without anything around it.
Yeah.
And let it go back to the earth.
Well, now in the mausoleum.
With no clothes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Naked.
No, definitely. Yeah.
No plastic, no clothes, no nothing, just naked.
We do have when you go in the ground or in the earth, the casket goes inside of a concrete vault. And that's supposed to essentially protect the casket, but also the earth. So as we're going over the graves with heavy machinery, it kind of helps keep it stable. So essentially, kind of like the same idea for the mausoleums is the casket is supposed to go inside of what we call insure seal, but in layman's terms, it's essentially just like a giant piece of Ziploc. You're basically wrapping the casket in a Ziploc bag. And it has a tray at the bottom of it, so that's kind of there to protect for the smells and the leakage. It's supposed to catch all of that and kind of help with that. So yeah. So after, I would say maybe like working at the cemetery for like a year. Well, even before that, like my mom has always told me, don't ever come here, with your spirits that are attached to you. And it was like, ha ha ha. But I don't know if you've ever noticed in like, especially horror films, whenever somebody has a spirit attached to them or a spirit in the area, there's always like a whole bunch of bugs, whether it's like the big house flies or like the little ones.
I don't know what you mean by spirit attached to you. See, that's a weird term.
So basically.
When your mom said, don't come here with your spirits attached to you, what did that mean?
So basically, by me working in a cemetery and essentially being around ghosts and spirits all the time, you kind of make yourself susceptible to one of the ghosts or spirits
clinging on
to me. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, exactly. So she was always like, I don't want you back at the house, kind of jokingly.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want you bringing a spirit here and then it gets comfortable here kind of thing.
Oh my God, that's funny.
And I never really thought anything of it up until maybe after like a year of working at the cemetery. I would be at work and, naturally like those little flies would be around me and it's like, whatever, I'm just here. But I could literally go from work to home. I would still have the flies around me. Then from home, I would go visit my parents. They would still be around me. And my mom would get so pissed because she's like, I have no gross food here. Like, the house was perfectly fine up until you came here. So after a certain amount of time, she's like...
Did you change clothes, shower?
Yeah, I would change clothes. I would shower. I would, I'm not a dirty person. Right. So it's like, I don't know where it's coming from. Like, at this point, I honestly believe, like, at this point, yeah, I feel like there are some spirits that have attached themselves to me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. You didn't bring them here, did you?
If I did, they're not harmful. I promise you. I'm okay. I'm good.
Wait, do you believe in hauntings then? Because my mom loves those haunting shows, and I always tell her, I'm like, this is not real. There's no way.
Those shows, while
like the
they are very entertaining,
like the negative hauntings. Oh, yeah. So you believe that there could be like a negative vibe or negative?
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like if a spirit is still here, they're here for a reason. Whether they have unfinished business, whether it's good or bad. A lot of the times, like the bad hauntings are because they're here with very negative energy, kind of thing. So it's like, whether you were part of that negative energy or not, you're kind of just like the collateral damage. You're in the crossfire. So
yeah, but there would still be evidence, though, something.
Yeah,
that's on true. Those ghost shows, they try to like
I don't really fully believe those ghost shows and stuff. They're just that much. It's all the same, and it's all yeah.
I think I heard someone say, and then there's like a little piece of tape that's like, yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, like I could have done that.
Oh, but. Here's another question. Final question. Mm-hmm. Do you believe in mediums?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
I do not.
No?
No.
Why? Well, obviously because you don't really believe in the after.
No, I've seen, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube you could find that people like showing that mediums are just fooling people. And it just seems a little silly that, oh my God, there was this one guy, he tried like so people forget when you get misses and they remember when you get hits.
Okay.
Okay. So if I'm talking to you and I'm saying, okay, something's coming through with a J, a Jim, a John, Joseph.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
There's a Joseph, right?
Sure.
Okay. So that's what they do. And one guy had recorded and he wrote down every miss because people forget them.
Oh, I see.
They focus on the hits. So a hit meaning like something positive that they found out.
Okay.
And one of this magician who's a skeptic, he wrote down how many names this guy had gone through when he was reading an audience, and
I think I've seen that. Yeah,
it was like 100 names or something. And I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I just don't, and I don't think why are all the dead communicating such like stupidly ways like this, like like kind of cryptic, kind of. You know what I'm saying? So I would look into it if I were you. I would see it because to me it doesn't.
I mean,
and there's people that can fake it. Like a good magician, if he's skilled in it, he can make you think. You know what I mean? Even if he knows he's fooling you.
Yeah.
He can still make someone think, especially if they're bereaved and stuff like that.
Yeah. The only reason why I kind of really believe that, well, not all mediums are real, but that it is a real thing. So kind of like what I said, like growing up, I've always felt some type of a presence with me, but primarily when I'm by myself at my house, and I'll either feel a feeling, or one of the biggest ways that'll haunt me forever is I came home from school, I'm sitting on the couch eating cereal, and until this day, I've yet to hear of it just happening, a natural occurrence, is the glass front on the stove or on the oven just burst. It just burst out of nowhere. And it's like I spilled my cereal all over me. I was crying because it just scared the hell out of me. I was like, how does this happen? Like, what causes this? So I've always kind of felt like while I'm able to, like, I can feel them, but might not necessarily, I feel them trying to communicate with me, but I'm not able to really reciprocate in a way to like legitimately help them. So I kind of feel like the real mediums out there, they either have the same, you know what I mean? There's levels to this shit kind of thing. So you know what I mean?
I don't know. I've yet to see one that really impressed me, but I'd love to, if you end up communicating with one, let me know, that'd be great for the next show.
I'll definitely tell you. Yeah, for sure.
So Christa, thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome.
That was a good conversation. I learned a lot. Seriously.
Good.
I learn a lot from my guests, and from doing this. I always take away something and I think about it afterwards, I'm like, wow, I didn't think about, things like that or, quite that way. So I really appreciate you coming on talking about death in October.
Sure.
And
I can
good
talk
luck
about it anytime.
Yeah, good luck with, do you have to like study and get a license to be with the funeral home?
Yeah. So you take the classes and then you get your certificate and then you got to take the state test. And then once you pass, then you get your license and then you go to practice.
Well, you'll never go out of business. That's for sure.
Job security. Yeah. Even during all this COVID stuff, it's oh my God, why do I have to be so essential? But
super essential.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, I can't really complain. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You too.